Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Look, I'm gonna tell you all how you can finesse the banks out of $100,000 or more. All right, but I'm gonna also tell you, if you lazy, if you scared of money, you might as well click off this video, because this video ain't gonna help you. All right, I don't want to try to help people that's scared and lazy. All right, now that being said, there's some things that you need to do in order for this here to work. All right, now first thing, you do have to have a registered company. All right, you can do it on the personal side, but we're talking about the business side right here. All right, because it's going to go beyond 100,000, but again, you can't be lazy and you can't be scared. All right, so I hope you all can respect that. Now, what I'm telling you, you have to have a registered business. Doesn't matter if it's a S Corp, C Corp, LLC. You can't do it with a DBA. All right, you can't do it with a DBA. So that's the reason why I'm telling you guys this. All right, now once you have a registered business, all right, and this is very important, you're gonna need payroll. For those of you all that may or may not know, I told you all that we actually give you up to 4 months free of payroll and pay stubs. All right, and so again, a lot of you all, again, if you're scared of money, if you're lazy, this video ain't for you, because you got to play the game. Now, that being said, when you have the payroll, you got to choose the right bank to open up the payroll with. All right. Now, I always tell you, the top banks that I will open up with would be Chase, Citibank, or Capital One, because those are the ones that report the most to the business credit bureaus. Now, some of you all that are scared, that are cheap, you say, well, what about the payroll fees and stuff like that? Listen, banks pay you to do business with them. And the reason they do that and how they do that is when you open up a new account, they actually will pay you a bonus. All right, so you may need to deposit $1,000. Some banks may need you to deposit $3,000 over a 90-day period. However, they're going to pay you to open up that checking account, and that will take care of your payroll fees. All right, now I would tell you to do this with multiple banks. Again, if you're scared, if you're lazy, you do not need to be on this video. I'm telling you straight up, because a lot of people, they say, well, this, that. No, if you do it the right way, I promise you, you'll get the money. Now, here's the thing about it, because I know somebody, well, what about the credit? Slow your horses. All right, don't get ahead of yourself. The thing about it, you're trying to build a relationship with the banks, okay? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a relationship with the banks. Now, that's going to be your tier 1 banks that you open up your payroll with, okay? Then the tier 2 banks that you're going to build a relationship, that would more likely be your credit unions, okay? You're going to go with your credit unions. And the credit unions you want to go with, again, they're going to be your Vantage 3 and 4, your FICO 8, your FICO 9 credit unions, okay? Well, actually, you want to stay away from your FICO 8. You stick with your FICO 9, and you can go with your mortgage credit unions, all right? Now, this is some of the golf course and stuff. Here's the thing about it. With the tier 2, you're going to open up your checking account, your savings account, if they have a CD or money market account. Now, this is going to take a little money. But I'm going to tell you where to get the money, especially if you got bad credit, okay? Because I know a lot of people, well, I got bad credit or whatever. I'm going to tell you where to go and get it. But you have to have income proof. So you have to have a job, all right? So those of you that have a job, don't quit your job trying to jump off into this game, trying to get some money to do your investing and stuff like that. Don't do that. That's a very big mistake, especially in the climate we in. So you don't want to do that. Now, again, going forward, let's talk about the credit unions I mentioned. And the reason the credit union is because you don't have to have any revenue in the business in order to get access to funding, all right? Now, you also want to make sure they are non-geo-restricted credit unions, ones that anybody can join anywhere in the country. So that's the reason why you want these, okay? Now, Navy Federal is definitely on the top of the list. Another thing I'm gonna add to this, because in particular Navy Federal, is that with you having a high risk type of business, it's going to play a factor until the amount of money you get. Now, for some people think $100,000 is a lot of money to get. It's not. Actually, $50,000 or $100,000, you just at the minimum. You're really at the base of it, okay? So, this is the gym here. I just came out from working out there, you know. But stick with me. Now, here's the thing about it. Navy Federal, they go by the SBA classifications as high risk type of businesses, in which they won't even open up the business account. Now, many of you all know that you have to have 2 credit scores to join a Navy Federal with the business side, right? So that's your internal score and your personal credit score, right? So your personal credit score will have to be at least a 660, right? Now, internal score, I tell you, you want your internal score to be up around 300 or more. And for those of you wondering, well, how do I get my internal score up like that? And how do I check my internal score? Well, if you're already with Navy Federal, you can call them. Now, your internal score is only good for credit cards, okay? In which, with Navy Federal on the business side, they actually will pull Experian, FICO 9, okay? Now, here's the thing about it. The internal score goes from 100 up to 450, all right? So, you know, and you have to have multiple accounts. Again, this is why payroll is so important, because the 3 accounts, I made a video and I told you all, if there was 3 accounts, that would be the main factor with Navy Federal giving you up the bag, is direct deposit, having a pledge loan, and having a starter certificate or a CD. Those are the main 3, okay? However, I would definitely tell you, if you have bad credit, you definitely want to do the security card, and you definitely want to add on a savings account and make maybe $25 weekly into that savings account, all right? You guys have to excuse me. A little allergies this morning. That being said, okay, because I'm not going to walk all the way down there. That being said, you have the relationship with Navy Federal, Experian FICO 9. Then you have NASA Federal Credit Union. They give up the bag, non-geo restricted as well, most times. And the thing about it, they use Experian Vantage Score. Okay? So that's a Vantage score. Again, you always want to go for the low-hanging fruit. Now, in terms of banks, you also have Connector Credit Union. All right, they would use Experian FICO 9 as well, non-geo restricted. You have BCU. I'm just giving you some of the credit unions for you to check out for yourself. BCU, Baxter Credit Union. They use TransUnion Vantage 3. And one more, I would say, is Veridian Credit Union. They use TransUnion Vantage 3 as well. Okay? Just giving you some of the basics. There are other credit unions out there that use a FICO 9 and Vantage scores as well. Reason they is here is because when you have bad credit and you need to boost up that credit real fast, then you want to add on authorized users. You want to add on rental payments. You want to add on, you want to add on utility bills. You can add utility bills will actually aid your credit file just like authorized users. Again, something that people don't know, right? So I'm giving you some things that's going to help you. Now, companies that would help you, especially if you have a high DTI, to help lower that DTI real fast. You have Shop IFJ online, okay? They have a $8,000 to $15,000 trade line, okay? It's a line of credit to be exact. And if it goes from $8,000 to $15,000. So if you have a high DTI, debt to income ratio, and you're trying to bring your debt to income ratio down real fast, you can sign up for that. It reports to all 3 credit files, all right? Now, I would tell you, if you're in the 700s, don't go after that trade line. Then, of course, I know a lot of people don't care for Credit Strong. However, the type of trade line you want from Credit Strong, again, helping you with the DTI, you only want the one that goes up to 5,000, okay? Because if you go over 5,000 and you want the installment loan, all right? If you go over that 5,000, then it's not going to be a big impact on your credit, all right? You want to stay right at the 5,000. You don't have to get the 10,000 or 30,000 or whatever. You don't have to get that one. Don't waste your money. All right, just being transparent to help you out, because again, talking about some people, they're worried about their credit, right? Now, also by adding these credit lines on to the credit file, especially when you have negative item, it shows up as a positive, all right, which is good, okay, to give your credit score a boost. The reason I was telling you about those credit unions is because with those credit unions, you can be hovering between 580, 640 credit score, right? So that's the reason why that you're able to get access to these type of trade lines, all right? Now, first time I seen a brother. As long as I've been here, I'd see black people on the property, but I never seen a brother play golf. Well, it's the first time for everything, right? All right. So, you know, as long as I've been coming here, I never played golf either. I never played golf. Ain't that interesting? It ain't like I don't play golf. But I always get invited with some of the pro athletes and stuff to play. But I never play. I know you guys want this information. So, again, getting back. But I will tell you this, and we're going to be passing it up. When we pass it up, I'll share it with you. All right? But just addressing some of the credit issues and the concerns about fees and everything, right? Now, most people, when they go to the bank, they make the mistake. I want a loan. I need a business loan. Stay away from loans. Again, stay away from loans. You don't want nothing to do with their loans. Stay away from them. All right? That's not going to help you. It's too much red tape, paperwork for them. So that's the reason they ask you to stay away from them. I just realized I was walking on the golf course. I don't want to do that, disturb their game. I do want to go around the pond. The pond they have is it's a catch and release pond. So let me show you all. Next time down in San Diego. So this is a catch and release pond, and of course you have your ducks, and you would have your fish swimming around up in there, and sometimes they may have a turtle or two up in here as well. All right, but it's a nice place to relax at. Now, anyway, going back to what I was saying, stay away from the loans with banks. What you want to do, you want to go for the credit cards, right? Now remember, you already set up your payroll with the major banks, okay? Now, you also can set up that same payroll system with multiple banks, all right? And that's the reason why I tell you to use the system, because you can have payroll going into your checking account, to your business, have money going to your business account. You cut yourself a payroll check, all right? The reason you want to do this is you need to show proof of income when you're trying to go for higher limits. However, here's what you want to do, so that way you understand and you appreciate it. Don't go for the loan. You want to start out with credit cards, okay? Now, let me give you some FICO 9 institutions where I would start out with. And with these here institutions, I would definitely tell you I would be hovering around a 680, 690, all right, to be on the safe side. And these are going to be your FICO 9, all right? So the ones that I know that give high limits, so again, you got Edward Jones Investments, okay? Edward Jones Investment, you open up an investment account with them. They use Elon Financial. They will give you, through Elon Financial, they usually giving you at least 10 racks or more, okay? So they usually give you about 10 racks or more. I'm just going to say that. Now, I usually tell you, U.S. Bank, they use a FICO 9 scoring system. However, if you have authorized users, they will count that against you, okay? And also, just keep in mind your DTI, which we already covered that. Hey, how's things going?
How you doing?
You catch anything?
Not since I've been here, but every year there's a couple bass right there, see them right there? They're not that big. But therere's three pounders, biggest.
Yeah, they're
not that big. See them right there? A couple right there, right where my line is, right
oh,
there.
yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Jetted off.
Yeah,
He was small. Oh, here we are. I'm getting hit here. Oh, you know where there's a lot of turtles.
Yeah, and they eat a lot of it.
Yeah. You can't use crankbait because you get too snagged in this stuff. They used to take care of the lake, but since it was sold,
oh yeah,
and the Hyatt took it over,
yeah,
they just don't take care of the lake as much as they used to. When my kids were younger, they would come out here. Now they don't have patience if they don't catch fish in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah,
you got to work for them, just like anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I've been coming out here for like 10 years.
Yeah, that's about me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad owns the. See the turtle right next to my bobber?
Oh, I got you.
I just hit him right now in the head. Look, that's what they do. They go to the bobbers and they go straight down, steal the bait, they take off. But sometimes you'll get lucky out here. Like I was out here at 6 in the morning. You couldn't even see. It was so foggy.
Oh, yeah. I just seen some swimming up in there.
Swimming up there, yeah. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm just up north, up by LA.
Oh, LA. Yeah, I'm out there too. Crazy what's going on out there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Thousand Oaks, so I'm like 45 minutes from you. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
But it's funny because I drove through. It's not the whole area. It's just one section, maybe a 2-mile maximum radius of what's going on. But the media make it look like the world is burning down or whatever. You know. So, and then of course you got your paid protesters involved in that too. They're the bigger ones that create more of the chaos.
Sure.
You know. See, he wants to come over.
Yeah, I see him right there. Oh, he's going toward it, yeah. But they see the bobber moving like that and a little swirl. They'll come up thinking it's a bug. Like there's a time I threw a rat, a small little rat, and it makes this weird noise just before dark. And I was catching bass left and right. A lot of people take the fish from here and they eat them. I wouldn't eat nothing out of this.
That's the reason it's a catch and release.
Exactly. But I see kids. They were taking it. He goes, oh, my grandma wants to eat it. I said, no, no. Buddy, let that fish get big. It'll spawn here.
Yeah.
But there's just too many turtles. They're probably eating the eggs. They're probably, they're eating everything. Oh, yeah, he stole everything. See, I got nothing on there. I had a big old night crawler on there. And now it's gone. Look at stripped it right off of there. Yeah. I got to go over here and get my bait. Yeah.
Yeah, look. Yeah,
Did
dinner.
You get here yesterday? Or?
No, I've been here since Friday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Here for a few more days?
I'm here till tomorrow, then I go home for 3 days, then I go to Vegas for a week, then I come back home. I'm home for 2 weeks, then I go to Tahoe for a week.
Wow.
So I do.
You're a traveling guy. I like that. Good for you.
My wife don't like it. She said I travel too much, but but I like being away.
There you go. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah. Have a great one.
Hey, you too. Have a good one.
All right. So getting back to our conversation, guys. Going for the credit cards with the banks. When I stayed here before, I stayed in this here one. I stayed in this here one. So I stayed there, and you just walk out here, which is pretty nice. Just being able to relax. Now, the reason I tell you to go for the credit card, because the business credit cards, and again, I know I stopped on Edward Jones with Elon Financial and U.S. Bank. You want to find banks that actually will give you convenience checks to liquidate that cash, because you want to be able to invest into other things. And so you don't want to be able to always have to do a purchase transactional type of thing to where they charge you a higher interest rate. So you want to look for credit cards that offer you 0%, right? And again, convenience checks. All right. So that being said, so we'll walk back on up this way. Hold on. People do zoom by here, right? So that being said, focusing on banks that actually give you convenience checks, like Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is a FICO non-Experian, right? And so it gives you convenience checks in it to let you liquidate at 0% for 12 months. Cash you don't have to pay interest on for 12 months. The reason I was telling you about U.S. Bank is very good. The reason I was telling you about U.S. Bank is because with U.S. Bank, they also give you convenience checks at 0% from 15 up to 18 months, depending on the card, right? But it's actual cash for you to work with towards your investment. All right. Now, where does the payroll come in? Okay. Usually after 3 months of banking, you want to go in for a line of credit. Okay. So by you going in for a line of credit, you have 3 months of payroll already set up. Now, some of you are like, well, how much does my payroll have to be? Well, I would tell you, you want to position yourself to where you're paying payroll to yourself of minimum of $500 a week. That's the minimum, $500 a week. The reason is, and up, the reason is you need to show them that you have a real income coming in from the business. All right. So this is another reason you want it to be legitimate pay stubs and made instead of made up, because they use Plaid to verify income. They're going to use whatever you put on the application. They're going to use Plaid or Decision Logic to decide if you're lying or not. That's the reason why people would go to Capital on Tap. Okay, so at Capital on Tap, of course, they'll give you a high limit. However, at the same time, what they're going to do is they may ask you for pay stubs. They may ask you for 4506C or T, depends. And they may ask you for an invoice, right? Now, granted, Capital on Tap is a revolving credit card. Now, some of your fintechs, okay? Most of your fintechs, what they're doing, they'll offer you a credit card. However, they're going to be charge cards, okay? Now, again, you want to go for the ones that actually give you cash to work with. So that's the reason why I'm choosing certain institutions for you to actually pull from. All right, I'm gonna sit right here. I think I make barbecue today. However, being able to find institutions that make sure that you're able to liquidate. Now, there is another way for you to liquidate your cards, and I always tell you that you can use plastic, you can use Melio. All right. Now, remember I mentioned to you guys about high risk type of businesses, especially like for you guys that want to get into like real estate. So in terms of real estate, you're trying to do Airbnb arbitrage and stuff. If you go back and look at the video, I was telling you about how to use the credit cards, the best credit cards to go after. And I'll tell you those credit cards as well. But what you do is with those credit cards, you liquidate them and you go over to these timeshare places. And you can buy these timeshares real cheap and rent them out. And it's better than Airbnb because you don't have to worry about maintenance and cleaning and stuff. You just sell in weeks, right? Around events. But you should check out that video because it'll be more helpful to you because I go more in detail about it. Now, here's the thing about it. Looking at the right institutions, like GM Business, it's a Equifax FICO 9, okay? However, sometimes with GM Business, if you're not in business for at least 12 months or more, sometimes they'll turn you down depending on your credit score, okay? So that's another thing about it's through Goldman Sachs, right? So sometimes they will look at it and see how old the business is. So if you don't have actual income, if you don't have actual history or a strong credit score, I should say, then they may turn you down, even though it is a FICO 9. So they will accept the authorized users and the rental payments and stuff to help boost up the credit score. But also they may look at the business as well. All right. Now, some of you all may be asking, well, What address do I use? Well, here's the thing about it. You have to be careful with virtual addresses. All right, a lot of banks are red flagging virtual addresses, and because they are red flagging virtual addresses, a lot of people are getting denied. And so the reason they're getting denied, because with those virtual addresses, they're recycled addresses. Okay, and because there's recycled addresses, it may have been companies prior to your company that used that address, that got capital from one of those institutions that you may be trying to apply for, and then because they use that same addresses in the system as a flag, they may deny you. So that's the reason I tell you, you can use your home address. In terms of raising capital, especially like $100,000, you don't want to go all to one institute anyway, right? You want to go to like maybe 3 to 4 institutions. Also be careful, be mindful of your check systems as well. Your check systems and your early warning systems too. Okay? So, that being said, again, start out with the credit unions. The major banks, you don't want to start applying for credit with them first, okay? You want to start out with your credit unions, or you may want to look at your regional banks. So like I talk about PNC Bank, which is an Experian FICO 9. Then you have BMO, which is a TransUnion Vantage Score type of bank. So those are some of your regional banks. Like I said, Wells Fargo is good because it is an Experian FICO 9. Now also with Wells Fargo, again, you having multiple accounts with them and you're making deposits, then after 6 months, you may also qualify for that line of credit up to $50,000. Okay, and by the way, with Wells Fargo's, they're going to give you the convenience checks on the business side as well as the personal side. So even if you qualify with that line of credit after you start using that credit card after 6 months, and it's no hard pull on the credit, you're going to need at least a 680 credit score for Wells Fargo. Okay, and I tell people, don't sleep on Wells Fargo. Now, you also have First National Bank, all right, for a credit card. However, First National Bank uses Experian FICO 9, but they do not issue the convenience checks, okay? So they're not going to issue you the checks to actually liquidate through them. So you would actually have to go through Plastic or Melio to liquidate the card. And you have to be very careful with First National Bank, because if you liquidate that card too fast, they would actually cut the card off. So that's another reason that I'm like real iffy on using First National Bank to go after cards. All right. So that's the reason why I tell you it's certain cards you want to go after. Now, in terms of which cards be more convenient, you also have, you want to look at the Visa Signature card, usually, your Visa Infinite card, and then your World MasterCard, your World Elite MasterCard, because we know that those type of cards usually going to start you at about $5,000 or more, okay? And especially on the business side, they're usually going to give you higher limits anyway, all right? So I know that was a long video, but I appreciate you guys supporting me and hanging out. If you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.